2 dicks, 0 chicks, and 3 flicks. You're listening to Fart House Cinema.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Fart House Cinema.
Yes, thank you for listening to us for 4 episodes.
Or at least tuning into this one.
Yeah.
We are working on fixing the hiccup with our last episode, episode 3. There should be, the third movie we were supposed to do was Starship Troopers. We're getting it up and running. Basically, it was just an issue with the program. We're not professionals at this. We just pretend to be. But thank you for tuning in. We got 3 exciting films for you today.
Yeah, we're doing 3 war movies. All from,
Two war
two of them are...
2 war movies.
2 war movies. All right, fuck you. We're doing Blackhawk Down. It's honestly one of my favorite movies probably ever. It's my sick movie too. I throw it on whenever I'm not feeling well.
It's just a solid. It's just a good
movie. It's a good movie.
Film.
Big cast too. One of the biggest casts I've ever seen. You don't really see casts that are that big.
A lot of big casts.
Yeah,
that's the vibe I'm getting from you on that. Yeah, no, I mean it's true. It's got a lot of people on it, but we'll talk about it. The second one up, we're going to be doing Fury. It's the newer Brad Pitt film with Shia LaBeouf and Shane from The Walking Dead
and Brad Pitt.
Well, obviously, it's the new Brad Pitt film featuring Brad Pitt. That's informative, grossly. And the other guy.
I wasn't listening to you. I'm sorry.
Michael Pena
from End of Watch. He's
and
also
then
in Gangster Squad.
The newbie in the. We'll talk about that too. And then finally, we're closing out with American Sniper, which Spencer is incredibly hard for, and I am like semi-chub, not even, and it's going to be a source of tension. But
he's end of the night on that one.
We're
trying to.
We're closing out on that. Yeah, it's
he's
whiskey.
Stroking it feverishly while the woman stares at him in disgust.
It's whiskey dick. Well, I mean, usually I'm getting looked at disgust regardless of if I'm succeeding, but
yeah. So first movie on the docket.
Blackhawk Down. We talked about docket. You're really gonna do that to us, say? All right.
Every single time.
Number 1.
2001. It's a movie about the early '90s conflict in Somalia.
Basically, it takes place in Mogadishu, but no one calls it that. It's the Moog.
It's the Moog. Yeah.
Moog, just Moog.
Just Moog.
Yeah, great cast all around.
Yeah, the movie is based on a book by Mark Bowden, something.
Bowden, yeah.
He wrote a book about this whole conflict. He talked to a lot of people that were there, and all the characters in the movie, with the exception of 3 of them, are actually the real names and everything like that.
It doesn't follow the same main character, though. That was something I was reading about online.
It is weird, yeah. The book follows somebody else. The movie follows Josh Hartnett.
It works out, though. Josh Hartnett's...
Where the fuck did he go, by the way? I just want to address that for a second.
Man, Sin City 2?
Are we talking? Yeah, I thought we were never going to talk about that movie on this podcast.
Well, we have to, because it's a nightmare. You haven't seen it?
I have, yes.
So we both know.
Yes, I paid to see this movie.
I downloaded it, and I wish I could have my upload speed back, or my megabytes back.
Yeah, you petitioned Kojiko, actually, to get that bandwidth back.
Oh, God, as a pirate, I felt embarrassed. No, okay, but so it follows this campaign of these
U.S. Army Rangers, mostly. There's some Delta Force involved in there as well.
And they're trying to take down, essentially, this corrupt, warlord or war leader who's...
Mohammed Farah Aidid.
Aidid, exactly, yeah. And he's a bad dude. He's basically controlling all the food that's coming inbound into the area.
Starving his own people. It's kind of fucked up.
One of the darkest intros to a movie I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm just going to jump right into it.
Music is creepy.
The music is creepy for the introduction, and then we'll come back to this. We'll talk about it. I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna shit on it a little bit here, but it's a great movie. And again, like always, every movie we review, well, not every movie we review, but check it out. Yeah, most of the movies we pick,
there will be some shitting.
And we'll talk about that at the end of this cast as well. But suffice to say, it's a really cool, it's a really dark, powerful film. But then they compromised a little bit. I mean, you got to bear in mind it came out in 2001. I mean, Ridley Scott directed, so obviously
Ridley Scott's got one of the best. I think he's batting at least 600.
Oh yeah, he's good. No one has to question his resume or credentials, right? Everyone knows. But so again, the movie does a lot of things really, really well. Really, really gritty. Really, really visceral. It's got a cool zombie movie subtext, which is something I wanted to talk about.
I never thought of this. Mike brought it up to me at work one day. And keep in mind, I have seen this movie probably 30 times. And it's not something that I wouldn't have picked up on, but it's one of those things I never would have thought to even look for. And now that he brought it up, I watched it again, and I totally do see it. It's very eerie and terrifying.
Without even getting into like the poetic subtext of dehumanization of the enemy and the fact they're all called skinnies and shit, which is fair, right? I think the intro is something when I was rewatching it, I watched it with a friend of mine and we talked about it, and he was saying that like he found the intro really, really slow, and I certainly agree, because they go through the Marine kind of quarters and they're doing this and that and the other thing, and it does drag a little bit, because let's be honest, when you're watching this film, you're there for the action. That's what you're here for. No one, like, I mean, I know that there's more going on in a war movie, and I know there's a lot more depth to this than I could give, that I might be getting credit by saying this, but like, it takes so long to get to the part that matters, which is when shit starts going. The movie's called Blackhawk Down. Blackhawk doesn't go down for
It comes from a
like.
phrase in the movie, by the way.
Well, it comes from one of the Blackhawks going down.
Yeah, there's something uttered over the radio. If you read the book, too, that's like the focal point of the book.
Yeah.
It's something said over the radio. He says, we got a Blackhawk down, and that's where the whole thing came
Yeah.
from. And it's also become sort of, it's weird, it's almost become like a euphemism for like a really shitty situation.
I mean, I don't use it too often, but I mean, I think it's a fair descriptor. It's a good metaphor. Although, I mean, ironic too, because I wouldn't use it because the movie's good.
Well, no, I heard it in another war movie. They were talking about we're not looking for another Black Hawk Down sort of scenario.
Yeah.
So
Retroactive references, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to say much about the cast. I mean, it's a war movie, so a lot of the scenes are action and stuff. They do a great job of, I think, the angles, the cinematography is great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's one shot.
Perfect is.
There's one shot at the end of the movie that is honestly one of my favorite shots I've ever seen in any movie, where they're at the soccer stadium at the end, and the little waiter is like bringing tea around. There's a shot that they film of him holding the tray, and they film it in a way that I'm like, wow, that's.
We're talking about right at the end of the film when they're running from the shitstorm when they've just been...
Right when they finish running.
We gotta talk about this scene too, because so what happens is the big buildup is like they go in to take out these military commanders. They think it's gonna be they think it's gonna be great. So, and this is where the movie entirely hinges upon the idea of everyone is a fucking idiot. Essentially, is my viewpoint on it.
It's a lot of red tape in this movie.
These dudes drop their fucking armor plates from their vests. They don't bring all the full ammo. They don't bring gas masks. They don't bring flashlights, night vision. They literally ditch half their supplies because they think it's going to be a cakewalk, and it falls apart. And then basically the whole film is the first failed operation, then rescue operations that are failed, and just a big clusterfuck of stupidity. And the only thing demonstrated throughout the whole film is that the main commanding officer, the main guy who shows up at the beginning, the dude who's like, I'm from Texas, when he's interrogating that arms dealer and shit, what a useless piece of shit through the whole fucking movie. The guy accomplishes nothing, does nothing, is not able to help his troops, not able to make any useful or good calls, in my opinion. And the best part is there's one scene at the end where when everyone's back in the medical bay and hemorrhaging and bleeding to death and all fucked up and wounded, he walks near an operating table and tries to mop up some blood. And it's an important shot because it shows that maybe he cares about his troops. But to me, it's like you couldn't even mop up the blood. You used a cloth and there was so much blood. He's just a useless piece of shit. He's useless.
Yeah, you're supposed to feel bad for him during that shot, and at least I didn't. Fuck him.
I mean, to me, again, it can be taken a lot of ways, but to me, it doesn't look like he's concerned or caring about his troops or suffering. To me, it looks like he's just realizing his own ineptitude, which is why he's trying to mop up blood that he can't mop up the blood. The blood's been spilt and it's on your hands, right? Like, if I want to get vastly poetic with it, but...
Yeah.
And moving forward to the escape scene we're talking about, so after all this shit falls apart, tons of Rangers are dead.
Helicopter
Delta
pilot
Force.
got captured.
Like two choppers have crashed at least, and they talk about how we can't get them out. What ends
They
up
killed
happening
Jeremy Piven. That's my favorite part of the movie.
Go on.
I don't like
Why?
Jeremy Piven.
That's it.
I just fucking hate him.
That's your climax point. It's just like, Jeremy Piven's dead. I'm excited. I'm happy.
Listen. When I'm coming, I always think
Picture
of
his
Jeremy
corpse,
Piven
yeah.
dying. Him and Frankie Muniz.
Right on. But I mean, so again, like the film shines when you get this like apocalypse wasteland kind of vibe going on, and all these military grunts are in a situation where they're totally cut off, and it's a city. It's a militarized city, and there's just hordes of these people that are just going to show up and wreck them. It's very, very. It was an inspiration for Resident Evil 5. A lot of people have said too.
Absolutely, I can totally see the aesthetic. There's something I want to bring up. There's a scene in this movie that I very much enjoy. They're going at them for the majority of the movie, and then there's a scene where they're in a Muslim country, and there's a scene where the entire city stops and prays. And everything just fucking stops.
Well, it's a really surreal moment because you get like all these people are this militant force of hunting them in this like savage, unstoppable, like fiendish horde. Like I said, zombies.
And they do address that they're all fucked up on drugs at one point.
Oh yeah.
They address that. They're all, what is it, caught, I think it's called?
I mean, it doesn't even necessarily matter. For the timeline for Moog, I think it's caught, but I mean, they talk about that in every conflict, right? Like, some of the guys I know that were overseas talk about how the Taliban are always on opium and stuff. So
yeah, they're all fucked up.
It's a recurring theme, and that's, like, it's kind of, the neat thing about war movies, too, when you get into the crazy high kill counts and Marines that don't get shot as often, and the beauty of it is that, like, they do feel that, these guys are using, AK-47s and Kalashnikov rifles, and they're strung out on drugs, and they don't know how to aim because they haven't been trained. So it's, the cool thing about a war movie is that a lot of the time it's actually plausible to have like an elite military force going up against so many numbers, and it's cool. And also it's the male power planet fantasy, and who doesn't like it's viscerally satisfying. It's a pentultimate action movie because you can have a ridiculously unlimited body count, and then a director or an artistic writer can still take merits with it, and they do that a little bit.
Well, yeah, you're talking about the ultimate male fantasy. Eric Bana's character is essentially just a Viagra pill. Like,
the scene at the end where they all make it back, and again, I still want to talk about the stadium scene because there's a scene specifically in terms of the cheering crowd. But so they're getting food, they've survived, all said and done, and he's talking to his friend. He's about how
he's got a great quote at this part.
Oh, it's awful though, because he's like, my friends, like they'll ask me like why I do it, but they'll never understand. It's about like the guy next to you or whatever. But then he's
kind of war junkie.
Yeah, but then he immediately follows up by saying, "Don't come with me. I'm better off on my own," and basically calls the guy out, and then just runs back out into the war. And it's totally like, you just compromised everything you just said. Like, that's totally hypocritical and stupid, and you're kind of insulting this guy. But at the same time, he's the super penultimate badass, so it makes sense. But like,
and Josh Hartnett, his character is not a badass.
Well, he's the idealist, right? They reference that early on, and they talk about how he's like, and he's with these other Marines, and they're talking about
Rangers.
Rangers, sorry, yeah. These other guys, and they're like, we're just here to fight. We've been trained to fight, and he's like, I want to make a difference. And you learn really quick, like, and it's a cliche, but war isn't. You don't win a war, right? Like, it's not. It's savage.
That movie really addresses how it's not one of these movies where everything goes correctly for everybody, and I enjoy that a lot.
Well, there's not a lot of war movies that does happen, right? Even in the more comedic stuff, like look at Inglourious Bastards. It's not like everyone walks away unscathed, right? The whole crew gets rolled. Like, war movies shouldn't have really a happy ending. If you make a war movie and it has a happy ending, I don't really feel like you understand the subject matter.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. There's something else I like about this movie too, and it's a small thing, but I like that there isn't a clear winner or a clear loser here.
I think the clear loser is the civilians. The civilians are the clear loser because they're being starved to death.
Well, of the two opposing forces.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, again, like I don't know. I don't want to get like neo-political.
That got awkward.
It's a great film. I really really enjoy it. Again,
it holds up too.
Yeah, absolutely, because the action is it's a great combination too of both like CGI and practical effects. Like when the chopper shows up and gives them aerial support during like their final standoff.
Cool.
It's wicked, right? This chopper just shows up and starts wrecking them. It's when they've got the IR grenades. It's great. Like, there's a lot of really, really cool. It's a good war flick.
I like that scene too, where he walks up behind the guy with like that wrist cable and just chokes him out.
Here's a little trick I learned. Oh, and when he takes the grenade launcher and blows up that hardcore general guy, the first guy to shoot down one of the Blackhawks. I think
that fucking character in that movie. I've seen this movie so many times. He drives me nuts. He doesn't need to be there. They had to make a antagonist?
Well, like they had to make. He's
the antagonist.
He's like a badass
film.
lieutenant, right?
And it'll come back up in American Sniper as well, because they had almost the exact same character in that
movie. Handled way better. But we'll talk about that in American Sniper. Again, final thing I want to at least bring up about in terms of scenes. So when they're making their escape from from I guess because the UN forces as well as like the Baghdad forces or Pakistani forces.
It's Pakistani. Yeah. They don't address it, but Canada was there too, actually.
Yeah, no question. But so they're coming from the soccer stadium to go and mount this rescue operation. And the funniest thing is that the whole operation exists so that they can rescue these guys. And they get there, and they basically take out all the dudes that are, like, attacking them, and then they drive them out, and then they're like, get on top of our vehicles, and we'll drive you out. And they're all like, no, we're going to walk out, and maybe it's because they don't want to get shot, maybe it's because of cover. But then this armed convoy that showed up to save them
fucking
just leaves them, and it doesn't fucking make any sense. And then the best part is, like, this whole mob is chasing them, and they're trying to run on foot, and it doesn't make any sense. And it's like, there's like a Jeep behind them that's got a machine gun, and it's like all they'd have to do is stop and shoot them because they're running down a road in a straight line. Like, it's totally, the movie just gets totally absurd at this point, and it's almost like you could make the argument that maybe they died if it weren't based on a real event, because then during this run, everything gets crazy cloudy, the sandstorm subtext, and then I mean, the best part is like there's that part where everything gets cloudy and dark, and then there's all these civilians cheering on both sides of them.
But are they cheering? They don't actually put sound on them, which I found interesting.
Well, I'm not even sure they were alive. Like, to me, it was like a metaphor for like the people that were dead, because it's shot in this neo-blue kind of colors palette.
Same palette as the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, exactly that, right? But maybe what do they show at the beginning of the movie? Is all those corpses. So that's kind of the subtext that I take away from it. But then why are they it's just totally? It's, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't grasp it.
I think of it this way. Here's the thing: is honest to God, and this is going to sound like anti-American. I think that if most Americans that watch that movie would think that those people
are just genuinely cheering for
the Americans.
Yeah.
What I think, and I think that the reason that Scott didn't put sound on that scene other than music, I don't think they're cheering. I think they're booing him out.
Like yelling? I mean, but again, how could like...
Or it could be a combination of both, because if you ever go into a war zone, there's going to be people that like the opposing force.
Let me ask you this though, but do you think they're even there?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
See, because that's what I'm conflicted about, because they do look positive, they do look happy. To me, I don't think they're there. Like, I think it was a metaphor, but again, it's my interpretation of somebody else's artistic, like,
I can
piece
get
or
behind
effort,
that.
so-
I'm not going to say that you're wrong and that you're jumping
Well,
some
again,
kind
we,
of...
you know... it's-
I'm not going to say that, but do I personally think that director, through all that whole movie, did everything, like, ultra real, and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
went
and
and
then
did
goes
that?
through a weird...
I think that's a little bit too far of a leap for me, so...
I don't know, and then but then to have this show up too with the waiters with the water, like I like that shot cinematically, but it is kind of totally ridiculous. And again, it's like the compound is a straight line. Why didn't you have some guys with guns come out and help these struggling? Like it's just totally like it's just a big point in the movie where it's like I'm willing to go along with it, and I get that it's their last big push, but it's just totally like highly implausible, problematic for me. And it's ironic that we have this issue with the movie because it's the same thing that actually happens in both of the other movies today that I'm going to talk about. But outside of that, Blackhawk Down, still a military classic, really great, badass film.
Do you want to bring up the music? I know that you had some kind of beef.
So again, it's 2001, so I know that music is going to be a factor. It's going to be a difficult thing because obviously it's not all things hold up. And I think the movie, from an action standpoint, holds up, but there's so much ridiculous, over-the-top,
Dude
like rock music in this movie, and it totally compromises like intensity. It compromises like badass action moments. There's just so many points where I think it's applied poorly. There's even a point where they start playing some music that like I don't think it's from the Moog necessarily, but it's something from that area, right? It's got that Muslim
throat singing?
subtext.
Is that
Yeah,
what-
exactly.
yeah.
And it's got a really cool haunting vibe because you are playing
like
an
at the
away
beginning
game.
of the movie, yeah.
Yeah. It's an away game. You're not at home. You shouldn't feel comfortable. I shouldn't recognize the music because A, America's there, and B, they're not winning. It should be uncomfortable. And instead, there's a point where they like clash it up a little bit, and it's like American rock over Moog music, and like I don't know. It's again though. I think the film does a lot of really, really impressive stuff. I feel like we could touch on a lot of the different scenes, a lot of the different action stuff. But again, I mean, I'm not here to cinematically review like action scenes. Like that guy shot the shit out of the other guy, and it's wicked. Like a lot of the pilot's last stands on helicopters. It's fucking great.
There's very few comedic relief scenes in this too.
Only at the beginning when they're relaxed and calm, and I think that
No,
was
there's
a good
also there's
staple,
the
though.
one with Tom Hardy and the other fucking kind of retarded looking guy where he fires the gun in his ear.
Oh, yeah,
and
but
then he goes deaf.
But I mean, later on, it serves as a tension point, right? But I'm with you. Yeah, it does have its comedic
You know, and
subtext.
then what's his name? Ewan McGregor keeps getting blown up.
Well, and the guy who's like, I know how to type. I can't see active duty, and then he goes out there. But again, I think I've said what I needed to say about this film.
Yeah, I mean, we can totally move on to Fury. I will say that absolutely watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, you're dumb, probably.
Man, whatever.
Or
Just go
female,
see it.
whatever.
Again, whoa. White male privilege overload. Again, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But again, it is a war romp. If you're not into war movies, and I understand why some people wouldn't be, it's fair. But what I like about it is it's not like, here is America consistently winning. Like this
It's
is
not
gritty-
It's not an America fuck yeah movie at all.
No, not in the slightest. It's an America fuck you movie, if anything, really.
But yeah, absolutely, go see this movie. It's fucking great. Fury.
Do you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, we can jump right into Fury. I feel like
All right, so Fury, basically European campaign, World War II.
near the end almost. After D-Day.
late.
1945.
Basically closing it off, right? Finishing it up. But
1945.
so the movie really follows Brad Pitt and his tank crew.
War Daddy and
War Daddy and the Big Chiefs. The subtext could be drawn between Brad Pitt's characters in this and Inglourious Bastards, but we'll refrain
he used
from
the
that.
same haircut.
Yeah, he looks good though. I mean, it was
God
awesome.
damn it.
This film, so again, it follows his war crew. It's really, really nice. It's really, really a close-knit film. It's not a lot about the campaign. It's not a lot of really about anything except for this crew of people in their tank. And I think it's a great touch because it speaks to like the
And
camaraderie
one specific
of this.
member bonding with the other members.
Yeah. Well, and not just that, but like it also you get to. It's just done well. It follows the new guy in. It's right out like it's the pacing is really well done. I love the first three quarters.
Pacing
of this
is not
film.
well done.
You don't agree?
No, we'll get there.
All right. Well, we will. But suffice to say, it follows them in their campaign. They get a new member of their tank crew, and you follow them across different campaigns in Europe, and then it builds to an inevitable climax where, again, go see the film first. But I really like it. I think it's really cool. It can be chunky if you look at it from a different perspective, but we're going to hear about that. What do you want to start talking about first?
The first thing I want to talk about is every actor in this movie towed their own weight in this movie. There's not a weak actor at all in this movie, and I'm saying that from someone that hates Shia LaBeouf for the most part.
I've never inherited the problem with him. I don't know where everyone got it from, but I don't have a problem with him. I wasn't a big fan of the newer Transformer movies, but I blame more of that on Michael Bay.
Oh, I blame everything on Michael Bay.
Hey man, The Rock. We've always got The Rock.
Okay, yeah, we say this every time we bring up Michael Bay. Yes, The Rock is a phenomenal movie, so is The Island, but everything other than those two movies are horrendous pieces of horse shit.
He could be launched into space probably. That's probably a...
But I don't like Shia LaBeouf mostly. I think he's one of the stronger characters in this movie. Although he only has like one catchphrase.
And you looked this up. You said it wasn't Fievel, it was Bible, because I thought it was Fievel.
Yes, they call him Bible, and the whole time I'm like, oh, why are they calling him Fievel? Like Fievel goes west.
Yeah.
You thought that too, and I
thought so, but I mean, again,
that's how I know we should host a podcast together.
Because we're both retarded. Yeah, we clearly both have the same mental deficiencies. Let me take a crack at it. One of the most defining scenes for me, actually, I think the most defining scene in the movie, I truly believe, is the dinner scene. I think that is the most important.
And
scene
I thought
film.
this scene didn't need to be there.
Wow. Okay, so. I know you didn't like when one of the guys has this breakdown, but I love this moment of this film. I love that whole scene where they touch down in this Axis-controlled town. They basically, I don't want to say they liberate this town, but they take it, and they kill like an SS officer who's laid out in the street, and they execute him because they know he's SS. It's fucking
Brad Pitt
wicked.
tried to make the young kid. Can I just address Brad Pitt's character for a second? I don't mean to go in a loop or anything.
Do what you gotta do, man.
Brad Pitt, I looked this up online. Brad Pitt's character is old in terms of war standards, and they allude to the fact that he was also in World War I, which is why he has like the name that he does. He's been doing this a long time. You don't find out his name until the very end of the movie. His character is like very sort of stoic and like very southern.
What I liked about his character is, and they touched on it so briefly, but I like when a movie doesn't give it away. I like when they don't spoil, but like throughout the entire movie, every time he's with his crew, he's the badass. He's a tough motherfucker. And the intro scene when they're getting the rookie come over to the tank and he's telling him he's in their tank crew, he doesn't give a shit, he doesn't want to deal with him, and he wanders off on his own.
He literally says to him, he goes, "I'm your new assistant driver," and he goes, "No, you are not."
Yeah.
And walks away.
One, I mean, you get because it's like you don't get to impose yourself like that because you don't know what we've been through, and B, it's like you're a young sprat.
Yeah, one of the first scenes of the movie is them unloading the one dead crew member.
Well, that's the best part is for me another again, this movie's got so many defining moments.
It's a great
when he's got to clean the co-driver's seat out, and it's littered with the blood and literally a piece of face from the guy, and he's got to clean that out. Like, welcome to the team, man. By the way, your first objective is cleaning out the remainder of the guy you're replacing. Like, good job. Like, oh, so grim, so dark, and
the whole
so
movie's
true.
very grim, and I
but it should be, right? Because like, I mean, again, there's a lot of like poetic glorification around World War II, but again, it was fucking heinous and awful. It was terrible, and And again, going back to that scene, when he's cleaning out like his crew chief seat or whatever else, Pitt sneaks off on his own and bunkers down between two tanks because he's having a hard time dealing with it, but he knows that he has to keep his shit together. And I loved it. I thought it was such a small and subtle scene, but it was so important.
His character is very complex internally, but I like that on the surface he's just a very simple. There's not a lot of like highfalutins in his speaking.
He's not nearly as dramatic. I mean, he has a dramatic role, but he's not.
It's very
playing it
to
up.
the point. He says and I feel like that's an accurate portrayal of what somebody that had been through as much war as he has. That's exactly how they would act, and I thought that number one, he nailed that part.
I think he did a good job. I think a scene that really showcases the kind of the brutality of war, but the necessity is when he forces the rookie to kill that German guy.
That was a little bit fucked up for me.
But it's supposed to be. It's taking a human life. Like what you're literally witnessing is the death of the humanity in the rookie because he needs to be able to kill. Like he's got a gunner position. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and then he hesitates the first time, and somebody almost dies when he doesn't shoot him.
Yeah.
So. And that kid, too, came from, like, a bunch of bullshit fucking tweener movies, and then he came into this movie and nailed it.
Well, he's a clerk, too, right? That's the subtext of the character, so it's neat to see him go from being this, like, shitty little nobody, like, coward pissing into, like, part of the badass...
And, yeah, at the end of the movie, too, he really does, like,
Well, right up until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that too. Because again, like I said, each of these movies for me has a point where something happens and it reaches a point where I like it, but it's really, really hard to believe. It's hard to accept. So for with Fury, the thing that I have a hard time with, and I loved the whole movie. Don't get me wrong. I loved it so much that I can overlook it. But the end of the film, the big climax, the big buildup is that the final, like the tank gets one of its like ruts blown off, so it's stuck, essentially immobilized. And what they find out as they're scouting the area ahead is that there's a large SS battalion, and not just like a troop of German soldiers, like an SS battalion. Like A, the German badasses, and B, these guys are well fed, well rested, and ready for war. So they set it up to make it like a trap essentially. But it's the final showdown of this tank, and Pitt's like, "I'm going to stay here, you guys go." And of course, it's a war movie, so everyone's like, "Well, we can't go, we got to stay, and we've all got to die." And no one looks for an alternative solution because why would you? And
Yeah, there really isn't an alternative. They could have run, and what does he say? He says, "We never run before. Why would we do it now?"
yeah, but at the same time, like, you've never faced odds like this before either. Again, I'm not going to get into it. Suffice to say that, I mean, it's also preceded by a scene where they have no tanks left. There's a fight between Panzer and 3 of the Shermans, and this is a good point too.
The Shermans factually were the weakest
Oh yeah,
tanks in that war.
Yeah,
They were
German engineering and their tanks, like the Panzers, were shredding them. Again, it's super intense. The tank fight they have is wicked. I loved it. I loved all the action in this film. Let's talk about the dinner scene though, because let's get it out. So I want to put my interpretation of the scene out, then you handle yours.
Okay, so my interpretation of the dinner scene, yes, it had to be in that movie. No, it didn't have to be that long. Yes, that character had to have that breakdown, but no, he didn't have to have it at that dinner. I would have much rather it happened at some kind of base camp or something. I don't know why. I feel bad for not coming into this with a whole lot of facts. There's just something about that scene that bugs me.
I feel different. I like
The dude from The Walking Dead just acts like an asshole.
Shane.
the whole
We'll call him
time.
Shane because we don't know his name. I mean, that's his point though, right? Like he's that. Here's a character who's actually like an asshole, undeniably an asshole, but what you find out in that breakdown is that I don't think he wants to be the guy that he is. He's just stuck there too, and that's, again, it just comes to the subtext about war. But what I love about it is, this is a more complex scene. The dinner scene alone, regardless of that, is preceded by the fact that Brad Pitt and the rookie go up into this apartment, this German apartment, where they find these two women, and it's really rapey. It is really got a rapey subtext to it because
I expected there to be a rape.
I thought for sure, and
Which I was down for. Like, I had my pants half off and everything, and then
Yeah.
it just didn't happen, and I was so mad.
I mean, it's super unsettling and creepy because it's Brad Pitt and the rookie, and they just.
Which, by the way, was really awkward in the theater, but go on.
Well, yeah, I don't doubt it. So Brad Pitt, he's basically explaining to the rookie that, like, you gotta have your R&R because we got this little bit of hangover in the city, but it's just really unsettling because these two civilians don't know what they're in for, and you realize that this is the story of countless civilians that had to deal with military types, and unfortunately, I mean, it's a subtext in this film, but it's barely addressed. Like, sexual assault is a big thing with war. It always has been, right? Because it's like a lawless wasteland of force, and where force is the only power recognized in conflict. But expanding, I know I'm going to be on a rant here. Just give me some time.
Oh,
on
you
this.
rant away. This is just payback
Suffice
for all
to
the times
say,
that I rant all
so
the time.
yeah, so suffice to say that
Mostly you're just in the bathroom.
Pitt's trying to demonstrate. Pitt's trying to demonstrate to the kid that you've got to take the small pieces of victory or enjoyment that you can get. So him and this girl go off into the room, and like it's weird because
They
the girl
don't
goes,
fuck, which is weird.
You don't think so?
No. He says it in the movie.
They didn't fuck? Okay. I got the impression that like he was trying to make a point about it, but that maybe they had. But again, there was some hanky-panky for sure. Regardless, and the defining moment is where like Pitt's telling him like go into that room with that girl or else I will, and that's where like that's your demonstrated like that would be rape for sure, and it's weird, but
I like that Pitt in that scene did take the time to shave, though.
I like that.
thought
Like
that was
the eggs,
interesting.
I thought was funny because like he sends the kid into the room with the girl, and then he's just left with the more matron, like the mother, and it's this weird moment where you're like Pitt's gonna get some, and it's gonna be awkward, but instead he just has her cook eggs, and it's
Eggs that he brought.
yeah somehow, whatever, but. So there's this really unique poetic stance where they're both too young to be in this conflict, and Pitt's explaining that to the mother, and that they need to go and have some fun and try and take some joy out of it, and whatever does or does not
And
happen.
he speaks German, so we should bring that up. They have this conversation in German. There's no subtitles in this movie.
Yeah.
So you have to just take what they're saying by the spatial, like the facial expressions of the people in the movie. But I love that they didn't.
Did you look it up? I didn't look it up because I felt like I understood it. Like I thought it was a really good scene. Like you don't get word for word, but the vibes.
Well, no,
and
I'm not gonna lie. I grew up with German grandparents, so
so you still didn't understand it.
I understood quite a bit of it.
So what did they say?
contextually, he did pretty much say exactly what you were saying. They were saying, like, yeah, they're going in that room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, we're not here to hurt you.
Yeah.
And then they kind of do. Like, it's just...
Well, I mean, so again, the point we're building to, though, is that post their processes are a little bit of R&R in their apartment. They're sitting down there, and you get this differential side, right? Because Shane and Michael Pena are in the tank with, like, a local whore. And
he comes in wearing a top hat. Too.
Yeah, and I love it because they're rating it, right? And then the scene before this, when they go in, they find all these, like, hardcore... like upper echelon party members and stuff that were killed themselves because they know the Americans are coming, and it's another really dark scene. It's really grim and cool. But again, building to what I'm talking about here, which is the dinner scene where the rest of the tank crew comes in and they're not invited, they're not really welcomed, and they're not seen in the same way. And the subtext is that I think Brad Pitt's character is trying to show the newbie that there's a reason they have to do what they have to do, and there are positives to it, but you just got to get through it and seize whatever goodness you can from the otherwise bleak and dismal wasteland that is war. But then these other guys come in, and they're furious because they're like, aren't we a team? Aren't we a crew? Like, why are you treating this rookie better than us? And you get this source of tension, and then, again, it's like the horse, right? Because the intro to the movie is Brad Pitt letting that horse go. He obviously cares about horses. You can see in that scene after he kills that SS guy, which, by the way, is a fucking wicked way to jumpstart the movie. A knife kill. Yeah, it's awesome. But, so, they're having this nice dinner, and it's supposed to be all nice and wonderful, and the tank crew is so mad, they kind of go out of their way to try and ruin it. They give the rookie a really hard time.
Spits on his food at one point.
Pitt still eats it. I'm not going to let you ruin
Brad
this
Pitt
meal.
swaps him. Remember?
Yeah.
They spit in the girl's
Brad Pitt,
food.
Yeah, but...
And he swaps her. He goes, here, no.
Yeah, and he still eats it, which I love, because it's super, like, I don't give a fuck about you guys. But then, so it's this intense scene where then they bring up the story about the horses and just the dead and dying horses and shit, and it's just really, really grim, and you can see that it's something that actually affects Brad Pitt. And that's what I love, too, because as a character, he's so rock-faced and stern all the time, but they know they're a family. This tank crew
And no one will
them.
fuck with him, too. I like that.
To an extent. They push both ways.
He's cultivated this attitude where they respect him undoubtedly. So I like that. But
it takes time, right? Because they have to get like derisive.
They said they've been together for a while too. They've been together since North Africa, and if you know anything about World War II, that's not close together.
No, that was not. Yeah, that's
it's like 1941.
That's not a jump, and that's a serious amount of time to be working together in the same crew for the Fury crew, no less. But again, so the dinner scene happens.
That's their home. They say it in the movie.
Exactly. So it's a family, and that's what this scene is. That's them being like, we don't feel like we're a family, and it's not just that. It's the sense of betrayal that comes from the tank crew difference when they don't understand that Pitt's trying to kind of indoctrinate the rookie, and on top of that, it's the fact that war's been shit for all of them. That's why Shane's character breaks down. And
isn't it Pena that breaks down?
I thought that they all do. They're all frayed and broken, right? It's the same with the Bible. Like he can't handle it either. Like it's this pinnacle moment where these two German women are totally completely uncomfortable and unaware about what the fuck's going on. Incredibly scared. And it's these guys trying to hash shit out in the best way they can, but all of them have to keep a straight face and try and handle the facade of everything because they know they know shit is going wrong and it's awful and everyone's dead everywhere. There's nothing but human suffering. And when it's all said and done and they manage to restore it after they basically almost make Brad Pitt crack and he slams his fist down on the table and then they all know they've gone too far because they do respect him. It's like this super awkward dad just slap mom at the dinner table a la Dane Cook moment. And then they finish up, they leave, and then like 3 minutes after, the building they were just in gets bombed and the women are dead. And it's just like, that's war, man.
The kid has enough time to tell the girl that he's going to right her. Yep. And then you just hear, boom. Yeah. Gone.
Oh, and the best thing
off the fucking planet.
Like, I thought for sure, like, I almost found this was
I sounded really like a sociopath there. That was very sad.
I felt like, well, again, I was perfect because it was like, I'm ready to get back into the war now. Like, let's be honest. That's like, again,
I had enough
war
masturbating
movies.
I'm
not here to watch the emotional shit. Like, we picked these 3 movies because we wanted war movies for this podcast.
Yeah.
But suffice to say, the best part is they were on like the 2nd or 3rd floor. This building is in ruins, and the rookie still manages to run up and find the young girl's corpse.
And he's trying to like dig her out. God bless that little fucker. Oh man!
And they just grab him and haul him back to the tank, and then it's right back into the shit.
Oh, he dug like a Mexican woman.
I don't.
Trying to get under the fence.
I'll say this much. I mean, I can understand your point, but I think the thing about the dinner table and why it's such a perfect scene is, like you said, they're a family. It's a dinner table gathering.
They use it as their own family gathering.
Well, exactly.
They just neglect the other 2 people in the room.
But it's perfect because they don't speak the language, so it's like they might as well not be there. If he has a breakdown in a military base, other guys could see it. I thought it was great.
It's a fucking cool scene. My big problem is it's too long. That's the issue. They draw it out to a point where it's like uncomfortable.
I will say, and it does roller coaster you a bit, the way it's like happy, like it's really uncomfortable, and then it's the the guy and the girl having a good time, and then it's right back into an awkward,
honestly, all right. So,
but it's important too, right? Because it's not one scene that runs too long. It's a scene that has a positive subtext that is then made awful by the realities of war. I think that's what they're going for. I like it.
I hate to say it, but I think I've come around, and I think you won me over in this argument. Yeah, all right. I'll just give Mike a second. Do you want to say a speech?
I like to just take this opportunity to demonstrate to anybody who
I'm not
doubts
always right.
Not only that, but he can be convinced. He's not so far into his own ass that he can't.
My
be
head is
consoled.
only moderately up
The
my
key
ass.
is I have to be in his ass in order for him to see reason.
So I've come around. Now I've realized that my beef with that scene is not with the actual dinner scene. The kid having that weird scene in the room with the girl,
and not getting laid.
That's what didn't need to be there.
There's no way my life's on the line, and I'm not trying to get laid. I don't need to be that guy. There's no if I think I'm gonna die and there's an opportunity to get laid.
The minute I'm not in a tank and there's a woman in front of me,
I'll have a top hat on, no question. I
would Donald Duck that shit, shirt no pants, like.
Yeah, no question.
Why does Donald Duck wear a towel? Quickly.
I don't. Who knows?
All right. Anyway,
you know ducks have corkscrew-shaped penises. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they love to rape too.
I didn't know I'm a duck.
Seek medical help. All right. So the big let's talk a little bit about the finale because this is the point.
Okay. So I said this to Mike. He saw Fury before I did. I had not seen it yet.
Don't regret it. I love Fury.
I love it. I bought it. I went out and bought it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I spend my money on.
Yeah. Well, and the other stuff.
And the porn.
Yeah.
I got like 7 different porn subscriptions.
Who doesn't know what Brazzers is? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Anyways, suffice to say,
my big problem with the finale is that everybody dies too quickly, and I get it. I get that I don't want to spoil it, but
at this point, if you've listened this far into it and it hasn't been spoiled for you, I'm impressed. Pause, go see the movie, and come back. We're going to talk about the ending because that's what we do.
So everybody dies, but it all happens within 3 minutes of each other.
Except the rookie. Just put that on the table.
Okay, so somebody does live, yes, but everyone in the crew dies very, very quickly. And it means that scene didn't need to be that long, because it went on for like another 20 minutes.
My issue, I liked it. And again, I liked it because
it was cool. It was well done. It was well shot. The sound was awesome.
Let me ask you this, like a couple of just like yes or no questions is, do you think the ending compromises the achievements of the film?
Absolutely not. There's no other way that movie could have ended.
Do you, like you recognize how completely absurd and unrealistic it is?
Oh my God.
I
played video games that were more realistic than that.
That's the beef I've consistently heard and had to deal with, and the fact is that like there's a whole battalion, these dudes have nothing but like rocket launchers, the guys are inside a tank, and while there are forward facing guns, and yes they do have the element of surprise, and I'm going to talk about the flip side of this in a minute, it's just really, really hard to accept that these 4 to 5 guys in one tank that can't move, can't rotate its main gun barrel, could kill like 80 Germans.
Here's a question. Do you think that the Germans have a clear win in that situation? I don't.
I mean, the win would be blowing up the tank, which they consistently fail to do, even at the end when they've quote-unquote won, when they've been throwing grenades through the top of it, right? But like, let's do the quick breakdown is the tank's tread breaks, they're stuck in this little spot, they set up as their final stand, they just start ripping on this battalion as they get close, and they kill a shit ton of Germans, and then as time progresses, they need to go out and they bring as much ammo as they can, they start getting into small arms fire, the machine guns run out, the main gun can't fire, or they don't have any shells for it left. It's a really cool, like, standoff. It's a really cool zombie apocalypse moment.
There's a lot of weird zombie fucking subtext in this podcast.
I mean, when you get to a point where you've got a lot of weapons and you're fighting off on reserve supplies, I think war is an easy line to draw.
That's fair.
In relation.
There's no other plausible ending for this movie. Had they won, had the Americans like come out a winner, I would have been so fucking angry.
I think I might have done it differently. I mean, the whole point is they need to have, like, these guys need to die. That's the thing they want to get with, because that's all they have left at this point, and they do believe in the cause per se. And the tank is their home. You don't abandon your home. You fight to the end in your home. It's there. It makes sense. I follow their logic. But what I find weird is, like, they could have had some of the American backup could have showed up at any point. Doesn't happen.
It does literally.
But not till the end of that battle, right?
Literally the last scene of the movie.
I don't like that the rookie lives. I do like.
If anything, I would have wanted Brad Pitt to live. Honestly,
I think it would have been better. I think the grizzled veteran haunted by. I have
a different reasoning for this. I wanted him to live because he knows that his life is shit, and I think that it would have been not good because that doesn't sound right, but I think that having somebody that just, even though they almost want to die, didn't.
I'm with you. I mean, again, it's a trope, right? And it's hard to say, but like in terms of like the cliches that you like or want for a movie. But there's this. So when everything falls apart, and they're finally like
I
everyone
love
in
Brad
the crew.
Pitt in this scene specifically
Oh.
too. By the way, when he gets shot by a sniper rifle. That's how Brad Pitt dies. He gets shot by a sniper rifle, and then he falls back into the tank. And the new kid says, "Sir, you're injured," and he literally just says, "Yes, I am."
Well, and then they
And then he calls him War Daddy, and he goes, "My name's Dawn," and that's the only time that you hear his name.
Which is important, right? Because he gets to be human kind of before he dies. And again, like for me, so everything falls apart. They end up dropping a couple of potato spud grenades into the top of the tank, and we know like it's over. Like we know Fury is done, and the kid makes a move for the escape hatch underneath.
Which
And
I didn't know was there, by the way.
I'm not I like
That's real. obviously.
I'm confident it exists, at least in certain models, and it works. But so the issue I have is after this point, he jumps down, he's underneath the tank, and he digs himself kind of a hole, and he just hides there, hoping not to be discovered.
Well, it seemed to me like they had dug the hole previously. Like Brad Pitt knew this might happen and dug that hole. Because
Which, if that's the case, they probably should have dug it a little bit deeper, just to say that guy, just to be that mentality. Because this kid drops into the hole and is hiding there, and he's afraid and he's done, and it's like it's his reversion back into who he was before the war. If you want to get like,
Well, doesn't he say at one
philosophical
point, like, "I really want to surrender," and Brad Pitt says, "Don't, they'll hurt you real bad."
yeah, basically.
I thought that was a good scene too.
Well, and it makes sense because this is the reason. The reason he says that, I think, is the same reason that I have a hard time accepting that they let him live. So it's like a younger German SS officer, and I would draw parallels between the.
I think that is the point.
Yeah, because it's like the German version of the Rookie, if you will, right? Like it's another young kid who's like, I don't really want to be here either, and he looks under this tank.
Probably someone that was.
He doesn't
related to
see.
me.
Yeah, well, maybe, but he doesn't see this. He doesn't see an American murderous, rampaging guy. He sees a boy who's afraid.
Scared fucking
Yeah.
kid.
So he looks at him, and you know that he's making that decision about whether or not he's going to shoot him or fight him. But then he turns off his flashlight and just goes back, and he lets him go. The fallacy, the problem I have here is that all of this kid's fucking coworkers are wrecked. Like if
One of them gets cut in half, man.
these dudes, like you and your squad that were singing songs like an hour ago, now most of them are dead around this tank. This fucking tank you've been trying to help destroy for the last little while, and you see one of these guys hiding underneath it, and you're like, I'm gonna let you go. I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. I mean, but at the same
Fucking
time,
runs away.
it's complicated, right? It's the horrors of war. I think that's what that's the subtext of this one. So I don't know. I'm
all in all, guys, I think it's a phenomenal movie. It's
I would
long,
agree.
but it's worth it. It's not one of those movies that you're like, fuck, that's long.
I think it does the job. I think it's a great action film. I think it does exactly what it needs to do, and I thought there's a lot more merit to it than I'd say Black Hawk Down. Which isn't to say that like Black Hawk doesn't have some of its moments, but I thought there was a lot more artistic subtext to it. I love the shots. I love the smoking ruins of the battlefield. I love like the intro alone, like I said, is incredible when Brad Pitt tackles that SS officer off a horse. It's
I'm going to take a second. I did a lot of digging on this movie because this movie's made by someone I very, very much like. David Ayer, he's done Training Day.
We're a big fan. We were going to actually... Training Day is going to be on one of our podcasts.
Training Day, End of Watch, both of them going to be on a podcast.
And, well, again, the same one, no doubt.
Street Kings, he's done...
we could give him...
David Ayer, yeah. David Ayer is so fucking good. And he is a little bit of a weirdo in the way that he makes films. They didn't get to stay in hotels when they filmed this. The main cast of the movie slept in tents, and David Ayer forced them to fight before filming the war scenes. He made them wrestle and fight in the mud so that the authenticity of the anger that they were feeling in the scenes were real.
I mean, it works, right? A more practical approach. Look at Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Like
Shia LaBeouf got really into it. He's got a cut on his face through most of the movie. Apparently, that cut was real. He would redo it every single time before he got into every scene. And first of all, that's fucked. Whatever.
I mean, again, there's, like I said, there's Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the examples of like really incredible actor who's done some weird shit. Like,
oh, he's a weirdo.
What was that movie? Like, I would rather be. I want to be in the wheelchair for a little while, and then I think for There Will Be Blood, I think he got sick and continued to act, even though like there were like medical professionals telling him like you need to.
Well, even for Gangs in New York, there's a story where he was like. He wouldn't let anyone refer to him by his actual name.
He would only, you had to talk to him.
And he wouldn't refer to other actors by their real names.
Well, and same with, like, Ledger, apparently, in Dark Knight Rises.
The role that killed him.
Yeah, well, like, what killed him was a couple of rolls of pills more than anything, but anyways. Suffice to say, acting methodology, it paid off. I love Fury.
Fuck, that movie turned out brilliantly.
And I'll say this much.
Very well executed movie.
My gripe with the ridiculousness and over the topness of the end is not. It's my love of this film and everything else about it helps me carry right through that. So I recognized that it was cheesy. Didn't even care. I loved it. I highly recommend Fury.
I fucking adore this.
Fury is my favorite film of all three that we're doing today, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to rate this somehow?
I give it
100 dead Germans out of what?
Yeah, I would give it 99 dead Germans out of, I guess, an SS battalion, whatever the size of that would be. I don't know. I thought it was great. I think our rating systems are
If I'm
arbitrary,
giving, I would give this one a real rating. I'm going right on a limb. This is an 8.5 out of 10 movie. This is a fucking phenomenal movie, and I will say this: the only reason it's getting a low quote unquote grade is because I've seen a lot of movies, and I'm a bit jaded about it. But
I mean, I would say this: it's one of the best war movies I've ever seen. I would say that.
Oh, I can one up you. It's one of the. I see a lot of movies every year. This is top 5 new movies I've seen this year.
It's definitely one of the best ones I've seen this year, but the year is just starting, so we'll see what happens. But I'm
sorry, I was talking like 2014 because I was talking in the year that it came out in.
Definitely, I mean, it's 2014 was a rich.
It really was. The Oscars are going to be a big deal. We're going to talk about the Oscars too.
Yeah.
But it's the best movie.
Go see it if you haven't seen it.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, third and final movie. Fucking phenomenal movie.
Oh, is it? It's not. Is it on the docket?
Shut up.
All right.
Listen, American Sniper, movie about a fucking hero, a walking erection. Chris Kyle.
Like a fictional video game character.
Hey!
A human being. I'm just saying. The dude, like record-setting amount of kills.
Shut up. Okay, so apparently, guys, I forgot to mention we have a special guest, Michael Moore, for this episode of the podcast.
Listen, I'm not getting political with it. Listen, as a person, the dude's military career speaks for itself. What the fuck could I possibly say? I mean, if the guy was still around, he'd be able to take me out no problem. He's not, though. But also,
so Mike is totally just gonna.
All right, so
it's such a good film.
All right, so here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad film.
But it's not a war movie.
Exactly.
It's a wartime drama.
You were like, let's pick the fucking theme of the podcast. We're going to do war movies.
I mostly just wanted somebody else to watch American Sniper so that we could talk about American Sniper.
Nobody else wanted to talk to you about this movie.
Nobody wants to talk to me about movies ever.
Here's my problem with American Sniper. Like, I watched it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, that's how I feel. Like, we're going to. But I just...
Fuck!
It's just so, like... It's exactly, like, there's not a lot of ambiguity about it. There's not a lot of
I'm so angry I want to take
subtext.
my clothes off right now.
I feel that's a go-to solution for you for too many situations. Like, summarize the movie, describe
paying
it.
for parking tickets.
All right, this is what I have to say. I think Bradley Cooper does an excellent job.
Totally
portraying a character
who's
not really that complex, because the complexities of that character consist of him literally not saying or doing anything.
And sounding Southern.
No, and not only that, but like when he's like the times where he's being like his toughest role for acting is him like, we need you to look aloof while we play war noises in the background that only your character can hear.
Oh, like when he's sitting there watching the TV.
It's not turned on, yeah. And then when he's about to kill the dog.
All right, yeah, now go attack that puppy. All right, and go. Now.
I mean, again, so all right, let me. I'll talk about the things about this movie that I think were really, really cool. For starters, snipers are fucking cool. Sniping, like, at least conceptually...
What? Can you name a more badass job? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, like, drug dealing, if you were, like, guy like Omar from The Wire.
Oh, yeah, cool. Wow. I knew you were gay.
Yeah, sorry. Love the dick.
All the
D. No, okay, again, so it follows the story of Chris's story through his tours, his multiple tours... And the crazy shit he went through. Yeah, and he's another super badass fucking of the American military. I mean, he's like Navy SEAL.
He's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's like an incredible hunting badass. What I love is the intro to this movie is him hunting with his dad. And
when he's like 9.
I think what I went into this movie expecting to be pure war, and there was a lot of... it was a lot more about the war at home, I think.
There was a lot of war. Can we just address the fucking... Before we start talking about this movie, really. The wife... is the biggest cunt ever portrayed on screen.
How do you figure?
My God, she was annoying.
Doesn't cheat on him, doesn't divorce him, actually, like, is only really a bitch at the beginning of the movie.
It's mostly in her face. I know that sounds weird.
I totally don't agree with you at all. I feel like you're so off the mark.
This is going off the rails.
The only time she's a bitch in that film is when she's at the bar, and she's a bitch because she's been getting hit on by military types the whole time, and her friend just got split up with one. And Cooper rolls in and he's like, "I'm a cowboy, I'm a good guy, and I care about my country
and
and making a difference." And well, exactly. He holds her hair back the first night they meet. It's perfect. It's great. I listen, like I think the whole point is that he becomes at some point for this film, because again, like the truth is, this isn't a movie. This isn't an art piece. This is a story of events that basically happened.
It's based on a biography too.
Yeah, which I mean, again, don't get me wrong. This guy's life is a work of almost more believable, like it's fiction almost, because he's got a ridiculous amount of kills. He's an incredible sniper, and the shit he saw and went through, you can't even possibly comprehend. Even watching it from a third party perspective, even with my limited military background, I couldn't possibly conceive what this guy has done, where he's been, and what he's seen. And they do a good job of showing that. And there's a duality. There's this family life that he's trying to take part in, but the life that he actually gives a shit about, the life that he cares about the most, and it's constantly the theme that it's addressed between him and his wife, is that he cares more about the military. His PTSD and shit, that's not a byproduct of killing people. It's a byproduct of the fucking war that's ongoing that he can't help. He can't make more of a difference. It's the fucked up shit that everyone's gone through, and then he's trying to struggle with that. And this movie is powerful, and it's visually impressive and stimulating, and the combat scenes are fucking wicked. Like, I do like this movie.
They are very well done.
But they don't, like, it just doesn't, at the end of the day, it's like, and this is the story, this is his story, and that's, like, it just doesn't, I don't know, I just didn't feel like there was a lot of meat to sink my teeth into. I felt like it was very black and white, and that's okay, because it's just telling the story of this guy, but I don't know, like, nothing really grabbed me about this film. I thought it was okay. Like, I literally liked this movie the least out of the three movies we're doing, and I thought it had some of the best production values. Like, as a film, just from a technical standpoint, I thought it did everything right. I thought its merits were good. Yeah.
Yeah, and all three of these movies either have been nominated or are nominated currently for Oscars, and all of them deserved of them. This one's kind of got like a weird patriot boner thing going for it.
I think that speaks true to the character, though. I think that's why they did
Absolutely.
it. But it does feel like there's a couple American flags jammed deeply into your ass, as Clint Eastwood can do. And only Clint Eastwood can.
Wow,
do.
he's good at that and racist stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, they handle it as well in that. But I mean, what do you think of the idea? Like, I want to talk briefly about this. In the credits, they show footage.
That is one of my favorite cinema devices in general.
Legitimate.
I love
footage.
when they do that.
I don't know how I feel about it.
If it's done right, it's awesome. Like in that scenario, it was cool. They did it also. Have you seen Pain and Gain on a little sidebar? Have you seen that?
Yeah, and they actually show like the course.
Yeah, that was cool too.
I liked it in Pain and Gain because Pain and Gain was kind of ridiculous. And this is sort of
that was a Michael Bay movie also.
Yeah, that's true. That was a weird movie. We'll talk about that another time. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the ending credits of it. I mean, again, it was a war hero, and I was kind of surprised when going into this. Did you think they were going to show his death? Did you think they were going to do it?
Absolutely not. No, doing that would almost be sacrilegious in a weird way.
I really thought, because like before I watched American Sniper, I'd heard of this guy because he held like the sniper record for a while.
He is America's most lethal sniper.
But the guy currently holding is he the curled world? Because there was a Canadian who had the record for a while.
That was the longest.
Longest, yeah, okay. But so Chris doesn't have the longest one. He just had the most kills. All right, never mind.
In his book, he admits none of his kills were really that long.
Fair enough.
He said he was just in target-rich environments. Currently, I believe the most lethal in modern military history. Currently, he's British.
Yeah. The guy just beat the Canadian record, and it's like it's something ridiculous. It's something like unbelievable. It's definitely
like the guy didn't even know he was about to die.
Not only do you not hear the shot, but it is ridiculous. I think it's over a click. I think
it's like 2. I think.
Yeah, it's something crazy ridiculous. Look it up. Either way, it's fucking incredibly morbid and incredibly amazing because it's a shot of and this is we have to talk about the sniper war in this movie. We have to talk about.
Okay, I could have done without that. I understand why they did it. It's just like in Blackhawk Down. They had to do it because they had to have something driving him to do other things. And he did spend this entire movie specifically trying to get that guy.
The Olympian.
It's a made-up character.
Yeah.
It's a real person. If you read Chris's book, it's a real person that Chris kills in his first tour.
Yeah.
It didn't last 4 tours.
Yeah, it's a cinematic trope for sure. And again, there's no way it would have lasted 4 tours. I don't believe personally. But again, you forgive it in the scope of this film because it's a sniper for the bad guy, and there's some romanticism about it. Like when he's watching that fucking snuff film that this guy sells, and he's like he's showing himself. Again, this is where his PTSD comes from. It's not the people he kills at all. Like the hardest kill he has in the whole fucking movie, and you see it is the kid. But he knows he's got to kill the kid. But it's that defining moment is when there's another kid soldier who tries to pick up an RPG.
And he's like, put it down. Yeah. You got to put it down.
Yeah, because he's not prepared to do it. Being a father, especially, you can't imagine the turmoil.
Yeah, because that was after he had a kid.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's kind of fucked up, too, because it's also like, like the loss of a life is a tragedy, and the loss of a child's life is also a tragedy. But at the same time, like, that kid is no longer, like, it's the same. There's a scene in Blackhawk Down where this kid and his dad rush that guy, and they're shooting the hell out of the door he's in, and he just leaves the kid there with mourning over his father's corpse. But it's like in a war setting, like somebody who can hold a weapon is a hostile. Like, I'm sorry,
Exactly.
that's my perspective at least.
No,
but,
I agree with that, man. It's either him or him in that scenario.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, again, powerful movie. I wish I had more to say. Like, I just don't. It just didn't really blow me away. But it might be because it was just so cut and dry. I don't know, like, there are defining moments and there are incredible scenes, but it's also...
The scene where he gets his tires changed really resonated with me when he's back home.
Like, the scene with his baby is a scene that I think... Like, again, like, that's...
By the way, I gotta bring that up. That scene where he's holding the baby, that's a fake baby, and they did not do a very good job.
It looks awful. It looks fucking so... Its limbs are down and not moving. It's one of the worst fake babies I've ever seen. I don't know how many...
He spends a lot of time around fake babies, by the way.
I do. You'd be... Like, and I like to do the bait and switch when I'm at the hospital. It's a lot of fun. But... it looks terrible, and it really detracts from the scene. I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed it, and it's fucking terrible.
See, this is why I like doing a podcast with you, is you notice all the fucked up shit that I also notice.
Well, like, it's not just us. People have talked about it.
Yeah, no, this got addressed
There's a web video, too, where it's like, I think somebody's, like, talking or using the... It's a Bradley Cooper thing, but it's out there, I think, on Funny or Die, and they talk about a flash video. I don't know. It's out there. When we have a website, we can tell you to look at the website.
That'd be a cool idea, actually. But, the scene where he goes and gets his tires changed, and this guy comes up, and he's like, "Are you Chris Kyle?" And
yeah,
he says,
he's like, "You saved my life." Yeah,
that is the real guy, by the way. I found that really interesting. I read that in like an article about the movie. That guy actually got saved by Chris Kyle, just like he says in the movie. Yeah. And I thought, number one, that was super cool.
I think so. I think it's a neat way for him to kind of probably posthumously thank the guy. Right?
What I thought he said that's the reason he did it.
Yeah.
What I thought was really must have been crazy difficult for Bradley Cooper is he had to address that like Chris Kyle would have addressed it, and had a guy that got saved by the guy that you're portraying.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward.
He fucking held it together, man.
Yeah,
and he did it, and he made it awkward, and that's the way it should have been, because the whole time this guy's talking to him, you could tell he just wanted to leave.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's probably the subtext too, right? Because the whole, like I said, the big, there's movies about two wars. And it's the war overseas where he wants,
which is very real,
and it's the war at home because he can't relax, he can't unwind.
No, absolutely not.
That's the scenes they keep showing.
He starts to at the end, and then he fucking dies.
The tire change scenes, well, yeah, right, and that's I mean, that's the shitty thing is, like, the ending that I want to complain about is the legit ending. That's actually how it happened. If you're not familiar with this guy, what basically happened was when he came back and he was working with veterans and people who were suffering from PTSD, and he was out on a range, and he was out on a range with this one guy that had been through some shit. Because I remember reading the Wikipedia page about this one. Yeah, this dude fucking went nuts, and I guess shot him and shot himself, or just
shot him, shot his buddy, and then got arrested for a double murder.
Yeah, that's awful.
And the shittiest part is that he's not going to serve the sentence he should because of the disorder.
Well, I mean, the shittiest thing is that...
Now, I agree PTSD is real. I'll take a second and say that. I have friends that suffer from it. It's a big deal.
This dude who shot his own fucking buddies, that's not... Like, I don't know. You know what? I don't have PTSD. I don't know. It's fucked up. But, like, I have such a hard time. Like guys that I know that served overseas, like, it's fucked. It's a mental health issue. What can you say?
But, I mean, could you imagine, could you even fathom being a walking, talking badass for 4 tours overseas as a Navy SEAL, of all things, and then you get fucking popped at a shooting range?
Yeah, I can't imagine that, because it's the only person who would have been able to, like, it's somebody you don't expect as a threat, right? Like, that's
exactly the problem, right? There's all these assholes online that are like, oh, if he's such a fucking badass, he should have been able to prevent that. No, you can't fucking prevent a bullet when you don't know you're going to get shot.
I don't even want to. You know what? Let's refocus on the movie, because there's no point in like, his death is a tragedy, and it's a shame, and like, not to be like a fucking daisy pushing hippie, but like, war is a tragedy. That's the one thing we can take away from these 3 films when you look at it. It's the same thing that obviously at least every director seems to recognize, even with the glorification of violence, which is undeniable in all 3 of the movies.
I don't think Sniper glorifies the violence,
dude.
I don't. The other 2, absolutely. Is the violence in Sniper visceral and real? Yes, but I don't think they glorify it at all.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to concede. I would say none of them hyper glorify it.
Oh, we're 1-1 in this one.
I guess so. I don't know. I'd still make the argument that, like, the biggest thing is that Hollywood is romanticizing all the violence, and that's true. And I mean, like, the argument here I could make is that they give him legend status, and it's obviously that it's recognized, and people are thanking him and saying he's a hero, but he obviously doesn't feel that way, and he's suffering for it. So it's complicated. I will still state that I think all three of these movies are guilty of making these hardcore action scenes look super badass and cool. Like, when he kills the other sniper, and how he puts his whole team at risk to shoot a guy that he may or may not even be the guy he's after, that's dumb. And then he's saved by a dust storm. But, again, a potent and powerful scene from this movie is right after he kills the dude he's been hunting for 4 tours, how he calls his wife, because he realizes he's probably going to die, and he's like, I'm done now, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's a potent part of the scene where it's like kind of like the death of the legend, because he doesn't want to be that anymore. He doesn't want to be this incredible force, this killing machine.
So I want to bring up something that didn't get addressed for very long. Chris Kyle has a brother, and he's in the movie. His brother is very clearly fucked up from PTSD.
Fuck this place.
Yeah, he's got a complete the dichotomy of both of their attitudes. But what you don't see is Chris may well have that attitude, but he just shows it differently.
Well, I mean, I think it's important. They address it at the beginning of the scene when he talks about, like, the wolves, the sheep, and the sheepdogs.
Oh, the dad.
Yeah, because the dad's obviously an asshole, and you get to see the belt scene, and it's important to remember the belt, because when he's about to kill the dog, he's got his belt in his hand, too. Like, there's a lot of little cinematic tropes that again, this movie did a lot of stuff right. I just don't feel like it went far enough for some of the avenues it was pushing, and then other times it felt over-inundated. Like, I don't know, it was weird, too, because I really wanted it to be a third war movie, and this movie spends more time, I think, in his civilian life than it does on his tour, really.
That's fair.
Notwithstanding his training, which might push it overwards, but again, like as a whole, I really, really liked it. I couldn't find my footing in this film because I was looking for it to be more conflict oriented.
So I picked these 3 movies because they're not like triumphant war movies. Really, they're sad.
Nobody wins in any of them.
There is no clear-cut winner in any of these 3 movies. It really depicts that war is a tragedy.
Yeah, this is really bumming me out. This is really fucking terrible. Semen fart, semen titty, poop, semen.
I'll post a picture of my balls on the SoundCloud account.
Yeah, and we'll zoom in so you can actually see them. But again, coming back to it, like I think this film does some really, really good stuff. I like the subtleties of this film. Absolutely. I think Cooper is incredibly charming, and I think it tells a story. I think it does.
Kills it, man.
I think it tells an impressive story of a human that lives in a realm that we could never understand the discipline of or the skill level of. I think it's a tragedy that he had to die the way that he did. I don't know. On a whole, it's a depressing film.
It is a depressing film. I'm not going to lie to you. I cried in the theater when I saw it.
I think the worst thing would be going into this film and not knowing what happens to the main character, because you'd be like, he's finally home, everything's good, what's up with the sketchy dude? And then just the closing of the film is he was shot that day.
Okay.
And then it's his funeral.
So the one thing I fucking hated about that last scene is the way the wife just kind of lingered at the door as Chris got in the truck with that guy.
I think that was the
fucking bugged me, man.
Because I honestly, I was kind of expecting them, like, there's no way you could. There'd be no way to show it or make it good. But I mean, it's fucked up, right? Because you can't. It's the money shot of the film is him dying for me, because it was his story, and his story, that's the ending of his story. So they had to leave it there, and having her linger is just to her kind of be like there was a vibe that she got that was off or wrong about it. But that's all they can do. Like there's no version of this where they could show his death and it would be classy or acceptable.
There's no way to do it.
Yeah, and it would be exploitative and shitty. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to see.
Well, you're fucked up.
But I mean, it's the story. Like it's
fair. No, like, I'm not. No,
but I wouldn't have either. Like I put it this way: if I was in Clint Eastwood's position, which I will never be. But
you'll be just as racist and old at one point. Well, you just won't have the money.
Well, I'll be racist against something that right now no one considers to be weird or strange. But at the time of it'll be like I won't like iPods.
Is it going to be people from Louisiana? Because I can see it.
There goes some more of our fan base. Let's see. We established white male privilege, anti-Louisiana, and I guess anti-German rhetoric nonstop through our love of world movies. People in the Middle East won't be listening to this either.
They will, but it'll be 40 years after it's relevant.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wait to see them wearing shirts with my face on it when I'm like 100 years old. I don't know. Do you want to just like pull the plug on American Sniper and go just into our outro, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So go see it because it's a good movie.
Go see it. It's incredible. It's cool. I think it gives you a really neat indicator and to what. I think they do a good job. I want to believe that this is the story. Like this is the person they're talking about. Obviously, they played up some stuff for cinematic
They had
effect.
to, or else it's going to be a shitty movie.
I don't know. I mean, I make the argument: why make a documentative film or a biography film if you're not going to do it? But obviously, Hollywood likes to just shit on things. So.
I have read the book, by the way. It is very, very close. I know that you haven't read the book. I wouldn't expect you to, but it is very close. They don't really veer away from it.
Yeah. I mean, he's a fascinating and incredible human being, and he was the biggest tragedy here is that his life was ended when he was on the scope of actually rebuilding it. Like when he's when you realize you can't win a war overseas, and he tries to win the war that matters at home,
Yeah.
that's when he loses, and it's the biggest tragedy of all, right? And then you got to feel bad, like the woman that you seem to hate. You got to feel the worst for the wife because she's finally got her husband back, and then she gets taken from her. I don't know.
So again, and I just thought of this while I was saying it the first time. It's a good movie, and you should go see it. And I realized that I've said that to every movie we reviewed on this podcast. That's because I don't want to review movies that are going to be shitty. I'm not.
Well, actually, it's funny that you bring that up because coming next week, we're going to be doing our very first single movie only podcast, and I want to take an opportunity, and I know Spencer does as well, to tell you guys about it. So we're
This is going to be huge Fart House Cinema announcement.
This might be what puts us on the map. It might be what gets us to stop doing this. But what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our coworkers, a man named Sean Ironsides. You don't need to know him.
Not even the last name does not suit him.
I think it's perfect. I think it's like a Little John thing. So we're taking him with us, and we're going to go see in theaters 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. We are going to go and see the film, and we're going to do a podcast about...
Directly afterwards, by the way.
Yeah, if to the best of our ability, we're going to do it right afterwards. We're going to talk about the film. We're going to talk about our experiences in the theater. I'd really like to... If we had a Twitter page yet, which we don't...
I can make one when I get home.
We'll figure it out. I think you should definitely do that. It'd be nice if you managed one thing. I'm kidding, because... I don't expect.
I have to manage my
successfully.
giant ego and full-time employment.
Yeah,
this is enough.
Inability to do anything else. You have to manage that as well. Suffice to say, though, but we're excited about it. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be It's going to be on all the dockets. It's going to be 50 Shades of dockets.
Suck my docket.
Suck my docket. Yeah. No, but so we're going to go into this. It's going to be terrible. We're looking forward to shitting on it. I think I would wager I've got more experience with 50 Shades of Grey than you do because I've had to do a lot of comedic readings and stuff through the one of the groups that I'm with. But it's terrible.
I know enough about it.
It's Drek. It's fucking awful. It's
fucking
Twilight
horseshit.
fan fiction. It's garbage. I mean, this isn't news. Everyone
I
knows
would
it's
rather
terrible, but
read a transcript from one of Mike Garrett's lawsuits than have to fucking read this book.
I would rather have Mike Garrett read to me one of his transcripts from his lawsuits than have
Not
this.
wearing any pants.
You know, no, I'm excited for it though because like part of what makes the book so terrible is the narration by the main character and like
it's
Anastasia.
Slash fiction.
It's regardless though, but so they're not. So much of the film is going to be so much shorter because it's not going to be her. Like we're not going to be able to hear her thoughts. They're not going to do that.
And how are you going to do a movie about fucking without any nudity? This movie isn't even fucking rated R.
Well, we're going to find out.
Oh
and we're
my
gonna tell
god!
you about
It's
it.
going to be like soup in that theater, though.
Oh, it's going to
They're
smell
gonna
like
have
a
to put
fish
tarps
market.
on all the seats.
I'm excited to see what other men show up at this film. I can't wait.
You know what? I'm gonna make a point of at least high-fiving some of them.
I don't know if I should wear a suit or just bring fuzzy handcuffs.
Would you like to wear a suit?
We'll figure it out. It
I
depends
think
if
that would be hysterical.
It'll depend if we're taking photos or not. But anyways, moving forward. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing next week, guys. So build the hype train, all aboard, stoke it with some coal.
Tell your friends. This is going to be funny. We've been talking about this for a while. Even I think before we even finished.
The important thing is there's no way possible that our review can be worse than the movie itself. So
if Ironside fucking comes back and says this is a good movie,
we'll kill him.
I am going to hurl myself out of
the recording
window.
will be us beating him to death. No question.
I will kill him and then commit Harry Carey in the room.
All right. That's about all I think we have the time for. We got a little bit long on this one anyways, but you guys know where to find us. Email us at fhcpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your feedback.
There will be a Twitter. I'll announce that when I put up the
That'll
podcast.
be out. We'll have the Twitter up and running for sure by the Twilight launch, and hopefully we'll have a website, at least in the works by then. We're working on it. Yeah, man, just send us your feedback. Again, you know Spencer, you know me. You're not listening to this if you don't know us.
Yes,
Please,
hopefully,
yeah. But just send us, give us your feedback. Let us know what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. We want to turn this into an actual thing as opposed to just a weird masturbatory habit that we both have.
And for the record, I don't just shout at Mike in the off time too.
Yeah, he shouts at me all the time. He doesn't really come with a normal talking volume. It's a severe, one of the many mental disabilities he has. But thanks for tuning in as always,
Thank you so
guys.
much. I mean, this is 4 episodes. This is a lot farther than both of us thought it would go.
I'm still surprised we haven't been sued yet and are shut down. But Mike Garrett's legal team doing the job they're supposed to.
All the lawsuits are taken up for now. There's an allotment every year. And
we haven't started shitting on Marine Land at all. So
coming up next, we're gonna do the Cove.
Oh God. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.